I think the mental battle in Melee is one of the more like rewarding parts of it. It's a very interesting journey to go on in any competitive fucking game, right? It's like the mental war, like outside of playing and the physical execution of the game, is a very special part of like the competitor's journey, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever get when the yard first started, and you guys all know each other because of Melee?
Yeah.
Do you ever but obviously you're getting a lot of traction because the podcast is just good. Do you ever are you guys ever hesitant to talk about Melee? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talked about this recently because we had a premium episode where we talked about it for like 40 minutes out of the hour, and there's a weird situation where there is a portion of our audience who definitely is sick of hearing about it, like a smaller portion, I would say. And then there's a larger there's a Melee portion of the audience that like loves hearing about it because they understand all of the ins and outs of it regardless. Mm-hmm. And then there's another, I would say the majority of the audience who just likes hearing us talk about stuff we care about. Yeah. And is like, I don't get every bit of this, but I like hearing you guys talk about it because you care. Yeah. I do think the important thing that we've had to make an effort to change or an effort to do is like contextualizing Melee stuff in like terms that are understandable or relatable regardless of your knowledge of the game. And I think that's like why that segment we talked about popped off with so many people, or how like even the documentary, like why the documentary can be really interesting to somebody who doesn't really care about the game or isn't super interested in video games, because it's a story about like people with like relatable themes the whole way through. And that's the way we need to talk about Melee on the show, because if you package it in a way that people can just like relate to and understand without game knowledge, right? Yeah. Then I don't want to talk about like the spacing on my wave dash, but I do want to talk about
beats the down air at what percent.
Yeah, nobody's gonna fucking like that, right? But if we talk about like the emotional, the emotions of competing, or like a funny thing that happened at a tournament together, that is something people love, I think.
How many people do you think you've introduced into Melee through the podcast?
Dude, I don't know how many, but it's a lot.
A lot?
Because the recurring story that I've heard from like locals in the current era is a lot of people have gone to locals or like their first major because they heard us talk about it on the show.
Sick.
Which is so sick. It is one of the things that make me the happiest to hear from a fan.
I can imagine.
I heard you guys talking about Melee on the show all the time, and I decided to go to a tournament, and now I'm a part of this community.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time.
I've even gotten, let's say, 4 people that have said that coming off the off season, and that's felt better than like getting X amount of views on a video or whatever amount of subs on whatnot.
Absolutely.
It's just like, oh my God, I introduced 4 people to Melee. Like, that's my favorite game to watch ever. Like,
because you're sharing something that means so much to you.
Yeah.
And you're like an introduction to this like meaningful change in their life, right?
Yeah.
In the same way that I don't think that thing even needs to be Melee in a weird way. Like if we were talking about ping pong constantly on the yard, or we talk about
animation or
like the literal game, I have watched the show. But if we were talking about, or right now we're talking a lot about basketball, because we've been playing basketball like every week.
Yeah.
Slime doesn't play, but the rest of us play.
Okay.
And we have a bunch of friends that come and play every week right now, and it's so much fucking fun.
Yeah,
and if people listening to that like go out and start playing pickup and like make some new friends because we just talked about it a bunch, that makes me so happy. This is the reverse of me talking about Molly, actually. This is like
you should go do it.
Yes, it's like I want you to go play basketball, and I do not want you to take bad drugs. But I also want to talk about me doing both.
But what I'm hearing is take Molly and play basketball tomorrow.
To both, same time. Yeah.